Welcome to another one of my live streams. I'm about to read Chapter 2 of Saving Destiny. It's a fiction novel I wrote that is based on parts of my own life when I was Destiny's age, and the stories I've collected from other kids and teens on various psychiatric units I've been admitted to over my childhood and adolescence. Destiny has childhood-onset schizoaffective disorder and gastroparesis, both diagnoses that I also carry, although I have a lot more, even more severe conditions as well, and yes, terminal conditions too. Destiny's gastroparesis requires a feeding tube. Mine did too at her age as well. Now, I no longer tolerate tube feedings, and I'm dependent on IV nutrition, also known as TPN. I get it through this central line that's in my chest right here. I also receive all my hydration and most of my medications through here as well. Oh, hi, Leah. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm hanging in. Hi, Vivian. So I get all my hydration and most medications through here as well. My TPN and my saline both run continuously. The IV bags and the pumps for them hang on the back of the wheelchair. You'll see me drinking, but as soon as I drink it, it drains into the G-tube drainage bag, which I'll show you what it looks like. It's this bag right here. It's everything I drink. So I don't process any hydration I drink by mouth. It's just for pleasure. If you guys have any questions about gastroparesis or childhood-onset schizoaffective disorder or my health, you can ask them now or message me on one of my Facebook pages, and I'll answer them for you in my next live stream. Hi, Elaine. Hi, John. So glad to see you guys here. Do any of you guys have any questions about gastroparesis, schizoaffective disorder, my writing, my story so far, or anything? Because if you do, I can answer them now, or I can just keep going with the story. Alright, I'll keep going. Back to Saving Destiny. Destiny was in the hospital for a gastroparesis and to have her NJ tube placed. And she's been medically stabilized, but the doctors noticed some weird behaviors and recommended to her parents that she get an evaluation on the children's psychiatric unit. So we'll begin with Destiny's perspective as she's admitted to the psychiatric unit. Destiny. I was terrified when I got to the double locked doors of the children's psych unit. I didn't want to get out of the wheelchair. It was too different from the medical floor. And the voices were raging warnings in my ear. Every day there, I got myself into trouble because my thoughts were too jumbled for me to sort out which realities to listen to and which ones to ignore. So I would just listen to the voices from both realities. You must leave now, the bad man would yell at me, before the murderers at this hospital kill you and burn your body and kill your parents. It was all tell your parents it was all a terrible accident. That was your fault. The bad man would tell me. She sees that no one is watching her. She quietly stands up, and when everyone's backs are turned, she runs and bolts for the door as fast as she can. She will run straight through to safety, and this whole mess will be over. She'll be back home, safe and sound with her parents. The storyteller would narrate. Just do it now, before I have to stab you and murder your parents, the bad man would hiss at me, as blood would start to pour down the walls, which was a sign that I knew the bad man meant business. Then he would start screaming, a loud, primal scream. I would bolt for the door. When my whole body ricocheted off the heavy-duty locked door of the unit, a whole bunch of hospital staff would tackle me and hold me down. You must get free. This is a very dangerous situation, the bad man would warn me. She fights them off so that they can't murder her, the storyteller would say. Terror would course through my veins. I would struggle to get my arms free. They were going to kill me and burn my body, and my parents would never even know. The harder I fought, the tighter the staff's grip on me would become. With every last bit of strength in me, I would try to thrash my whole body, but nothing would happen. Their mouths would move like they were talking to me, but I wouldn't be able to hear them over the screaming and shouting of the bad man and the storyteller and the others. As a 10-year-old child that was only the size of a skinny 5-year-old, I stood no chance. What would usually happen was that they would inject me with a sedative and strap me to a bed with restraints, or lock me up in a room called the quiet room, and restrain me to the bed when I kept running into the walls of the quiet room and smashing my head off the walls. I just couldn't handle the current of agitation running through my small body and the screams of the bad man. I stayed at St. Mary's Hospital Psych Unit for about a month. This began happening multiple times a day. Then, they kicked me out. Years later, my mom explained to me that they kicked me out of St. Mary's because they thought I was getting some sort of reward for my out-of-control behavior. When I left St. Mary's Hospital, the agitation continued to run rampant through my body, and I couldn't stay still. At home, the bad man and the storyteller wouldn't stop harassing me and blenderizing my thoughts. I couldn't even manage to speak because everything in my head was so muddled. All I could do was cry to communicate. If it hadn't been for my parents nailing all the second floor windows shut, locking up all the medication and sharp objects, following me around 24/7, having me sleep on a mattress on the floor of their room every night, child locking the doors every time we went in the car, and only letting me use the downstairs bathroom with their foot in the door, I don't think I would have survived that brief period home. Quite often, my dad had to pin me down on the bed and hold me there to keep me from hurting myself or even killing myself. My parents repeatedly tried to bring me back to St. Mary's ER, but they refused to readmit me, telling my mom and dad that I was only trying to be manipulative and I just didn't want to go back to school. Finally, after 6 weeks of hell, my therapist gave my parents the name of a different psychiatric hospital to try, University Hospital. They admitted me and started me out on a medication called Thorazine to get me off of the Klonopin. The psychiatrist at St. Mary's had started me on. They were pretty sure that the Klonopin was causing the live wire of energy feeling, because kids that haven't hit puberty yet can get a paradoxical reaction to benzodiazepines, the class of medications that include Ativan, Klonopin, Xanax, and get all agitated and out of control from them. The Thorazine quieted the bad man and the storyteller, and for the first time in my conscious memories, my brain was quiet. It was the most amazing thing for me to be able to think clearly without a vacuum of voices. Trying to suck the thoughts out of my head. University Hospital recommended I go to a partial hospital program on discharge. A partial hospital is a program you go to from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. for different therapy groups, activity groups, school classes, and you meet one-on-one with a psychiatrist as well about your medications and one-on-one with a social worker to talk about your feelings and coping skills. The psychiatrist I saw at partial, Dr. Marie, became my regular psychiatrist, even after I was discharged from the partial program and started going to summer camp and then middle school. After being stable on Paxil, my antidepressant, and Thorazine for a year, Dr. Marie brought up the Thorazine to my mom and me. It's helped Destiny get through a rough spot, but I don't really want her on it long term because of the side effects it can cause. Some of those side effects can be permanent as well, so I think we'll start pulling her off of it. How does that sound to everyone? Dr. Marie asked. We agreed immediately. None of us realized what a big part it had played in keeping me stable. The next few years were a downhill slide. The bad man and the storyteller were getting louder and more intrusive. It was getting harder and harder for me to perform any activities, including taking care of myself. I was forgetting to brush my hair, forgetting to brush my teeth, and forgetting to change my clothes. It was hard for me to make eye contact and hold it when I spoke to people, and I had no idea how to talk to other kids my age, so I had no friends to hang out with. This meant I had nothing to distract me from my life that had come to revolve around my mental illness and gastroparesis. I was getting no hunger cues, and my weight was dropping rapidly. My mom set up an appointment with Dr. Langley, my new adolescent medicine doctor. Dr. Langley had curly brown hair and very cold hands. She always used to apologize for the temperature of her hands and say, "Cold hands, warm heart." At my appointment, she had me give a urine sample and then change into a hospital gown and get on the scale. 72 pounds. I frowned. I had lost over 8 pounds. "We have to do something about this," Dr. Langley told me calmly but firmly. "If you keep going like this, your weight is going to drop off the growth charts." Dr. Langley made a deal with me. "I have these 3 bottles of Boost here." She picked up a case of multi-flavored 8-ounce bottles to show me. "Just pick out what flavors you want to drink, but you have to drink 3 bottles, and you have to drink them by tomorrow afternoon. If you do not drink the bottles by then, we will have to put the NJ feeding tube back in, okay?" I felt so overwhelmed that I started to cry. "I'm not trying to be mean," Dr. Langley told me. "It's just that your labs, urine, and weight are showing me that you are in desperate need of nutrition, and you could get very sick if you continue this way. I care about you, and I don't want to see you get very sick." How was I going to drink 3 entire bottles of Boost in one day? That was pretty much impossible. I continued to cry. That night, my mom handed me one of the Boosts. I took a few sips and immediately felt so full I was vomiting little bits of it back into my mouth. I couldn't do it. The following day at partial, I couldn't manage either. When 3 p.m. rolled around, I knew my fate was sealed. I was getting nose tubed. I headed into Dr. Langley's office, squeezing my mom's hand in one hand and holding Blinky in the other. Dr. Langley took my blood pressure, pulse, temperature, and checked my oxygen levels. She had me pee in a cup and then change into a hospital gown and get on the scale. 71 pounds. We all shook our heads. My mom told Dr. Langley that I had tried but couldn't drink the Boosts. Dr. Langley gave us a piece of paper with the doctor's order on it and told us to head to the pediatric procedures unit. The next day at partial, I had to go in with an NJ tube in place, taped to the side of my cheek, the end of the tubing trailing down past my shoulder. My eyes kept tearing up. My nose was running like a faucet. When I got to the partial hospital program, Janet, the main nurse, brought me into the treatment room where there was an IV pool with a bag of supplements hanging on it that said Peptamen Jr. on the bag. It was hooked into a pump that's screwed into the middle of the IV pole. I'm going to hook you up to some tube feed now, said Dr. Langley. I'm going to hook you up to some tube feed now, and Dr. Langley already ordered your tube feed, a feeding pump, supplies, an IV pole, and a backpack that you can use instead of the IV pole to put your pump, tube feed, and flush bag in it to use instead of this dancing partner. It will make you much more mobile. It should be at your house by 8 p.m. this evening. I just nodded. I hated needing all this medical equipment. I knew I was going to get stared at. But for today, this is your dancing partner, Janet told me, jokingly, as she took the end of my tubing and hooked it up to the end of the tubing coming out of the pump. She turned the pump on and then pressed a few buttons before declaring me free to roam about the cabin. All day, the other kids stared at me. I shook and shut my eyes, trying to ignore the screams and cries, the bad man and the storyteller. I was at my wit's end. For years, I'd been struggling so intensely, and I'd been in therapy, on medication, in hospitals, in partials, and nothing was making my situation any better. If anything, things were getting worse. As the day was wrapping up, we had one more group therapy session with Dave, the psychologist. If you don't tell the people who take care of you how you feel inside, then they can't help you the right way, he explained. I immediately decided that I was going to tell my parents about the voices and how reality was so fragmented for me. Maybe that was my answer. Maybe if adults knew the whole story, then they could actually help me. My parents were really smart. My mom was a freelance author that published tons of personal essays and short stories in all different literary journals. She had even been in the New Yorker a couple times. My dad had a PhD in physics and worked in a research lab. They had to be able to figure out how to help me. Little tendrils of hope were sprouting from deep within me. This wasn't going to be easy. I was going to have to brave the screams of the bad man and the storyteller, but I was going to do this. Sorry guys, hang on 1 second. Sorry guys, hang on. Alright guys, that is the end of Chapter 2 of Psyched Up, Saving Destiny. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. Otherwise, I'm going to end this live. And thank you so much for coming. Please don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying so hard to get my writing out into the world, and I need your help. So please, I really want to get it out into the world before my illness takes me. So it'd be really great if you could share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Love all you guys so much. Take care. The bad man and the storyteller real for you personally, Vivian? So I do hear voices, but the bad man and the storyteller are made up. I have a voice that narrates my life, the storyteller, so that one is not made up. I just call it the narrator. The bad man is made up. It's a composite of two voices that I hear called Clyde and O'Day, which are both two really loud, angry voices that are constantly yelling at me and doing command hallucinations. Now that I'm on stable medication, I don't hear them at all anymore. But the bad man is based off of Clyde and O'Day. Oh, thank you, Leah. Thank you so much for saying I'm amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That is so sweet of you. Yeah, sure, Vivian. Of course. Thank you, Elaine. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Alright, guys. I'm gonna end. Oh, thanks, Vivian. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, I'm gonna end here, guys. Thanks for watching. Love you guys so much. Take care. See you next time. Oh, the sore on my lip? Oh, it's a bruise. I accidentally got my phone dropped on me by accident. One of my nurses accidentally dropped my phone on my face. And because I'm so anemic, I bruise so easily, so it turned into a huge bruise. She felt so bad. I actually feel worse for her than for me, because she felt so bad for dropping the phone on my face that I felt worse for her, how bad she felt. For me, it doesn't hurt that bad because I'm so used to pain with all my illnesses. Oh, thanks, Vivian. It's really fine. It just looks ugly. Like I said, I'm so used to pain because I have so many chronic and severe illnesses. So I barely notice the pain on my lip, but it's just ugly. I hate it. But yeah, no, she felt so bad. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna end here. Love all you guys. Don't forget. Bye, Elaine. Don't forget to message me any questions you have about anything. They're on my Facebook page, and like I said, I can answer them in the next live. Alright, bye, Vivian.